So, do you find yourself spending more time trying to photograph your handmade products than creating them? If so, you're definitely not alone. So many makers I know find the whole process of photographing their products super time consuming, which is why I want to share with you some great, easy to apply time saving hacks in this video so that you spend less time behind the camera and more time creating and selling your handmade products online. And if we haven't met and this is the first time you are meeting me, my name is Imelda Jimenez Lamar and I'm a product photography coach helping handmade sellers learn how to shoot product photos that sell online. So this first tip I think is the most important and sets the tone of the whole entire product photography process for your craft business. And it is make a plan. To me, this tip is it's super important because how often are you picking up your phone or your camera and just taking pictures of your products without really thinking through what you're doing? I know a lot of you probably are just rushing through the process, and that is a recipe for just not getting the photos that you want. Product photography is super duper important to your craft business and helping you get seen, helping you get sales, helping with traffic, and so on. So it's really important to really think through what you're going to be doing to try and get these great product photos instead of just kind of haphazardly photographing your work and hoping something good will come out. Because I know that was my whole mentality when it came to photographing my work. So make a plan, and I'm going to share with you a couple questions I really want you to reflect on and think about. So make sure you have a pen and paper handy or open up a new Google document on your computer and let's start going through these tips. So first off, what products are you going to be photographing? This is really important because you need to start really thinking about how much time you're going to need to photograph your work. Are you going to be reshooting all of your products? And let's say you have 60 products you need to reshoot, or are you just going to be shooting a couple products because maybe you have a collection you're looking to release in the next month or so? Obviously, the less products you're going to be photographing generally is going to be less time, whereas the more products you're going to be photographing is going to equal more time. So really start thinking about that and keep that in mind so you have a focus and you know what you're going to be looking to do when you're photographing your work. Next, think about what type of photos you're going to need. Are you going to be looking to take lifestyle shots? Are you going to be maybe using a model to help take your photos? Or are you going to be just taking your standard product shot of your product against a plain background? These are things to really think about because obviously the more things you're incorporating into your photos, the more time and the more adjustments you're going to be taking to get that shot that you want. So really start thinking as you look at the products that you're looking to photograph, what type of photos are you going to be looking to take? Next, you need to think about what shots you're going to need of each product. And I know a lot of you are probably not really thinking through this. And I know because when I look at your product listings, I see like one shot of a, product, or I see maybe two, or I see 10 different shots. Well, actually, they're not different. They're pretty much the same, but you're switching out the background or you're just slightly moving your camera to the left or the right, but it's essentially the same photo 10 times. And that is really not helpful for your customers because your photos are there to communicate information about your product to your customer so that they feel really good about buying from you. If you're just only showing the front of your product and they're wondering, like, what's the back look like? What's the inside look like? You're totally doing a disservice to your customer and not showing them everything that they need to know to buy from you. So really think through the different angles you're going to need. You think about obviously if certain photos or certain products are going to need lifestyle shots and so on. You need to be really thoughtful because customers can't see what you don't show them through your photos. So make sure you think this through. Next, now that you kind of have an idea of what products you're going to be photographing and what type of photos you might be taking, along with the shots you're going to need for each product, now you need to start thinking about what your lighting is going to be, what background you're looking to use, any props that you might need to, get. Maybe you need to go buy some stuff, or dig through that closet that you maybe haven't digged through in a while. This is a good time to just really think about everything you're going to need to start to put everything together so you can photograph your products. So I encourage you to spend about 10 or 15 minutes answering these questions when the time comes to photograph your work, so that you're better prepared and you have an idea of what you're going to be doing and what you're going to be trying to achieve when photographing your work. Really, this helps you, it helps so much, because that 10 or 15 minutes that you spend thinking through these things can save you a ton of time when the time comes to photograph and edit your product photos. So let's move on to starting to prepare everything when the time comes to photograph your work. So now you have an idea of what you're going to be looking to do when it comes to photographing your work. You kind of have an idea of the lighting, you know what products you're going to be shooting, you know what shots you're going to need, and so on. Now is the time you start really thinking about what are you going to need to photograph your work. This is the time you start thinking about the tools, the equipment, the lighting, the space, and so on. So here are a couple things to keep in mind so that you make this whole process move a lot quicker. So make sure that your products are prepped and ready to go. This means doing a look through at all of your products, making sure there aren't any thumbprints that are noticeable, making sure there aren't any smudges or dust bunnies. I don't know. And also making sure that if you have products that you have labels on, say skincare products, things like that, make sure that the labels are not crooked. I can't tell you how often I'll sometimes be looking at product photos of like skincare or maybe even food products like jams, that type of thing, and the label is crooked. That is not a good look. Make sure that your labels are on straight, that even the text is printed on correctly and isn't all crooked or off center. So please just make sure that your products are ready to go and they are looking amazing. Next, you need to make sure that the space you're going to be photographing your work is totally clear and ready to go. This means potentially moving furniture if you need to do that, making sure that the, your curtains are looking good, or making sure that, the space is clear so that you have room to move around and make adjustments as you're photographing your work. Next, gather any tools, any props, anything that you're going to need to photograph your products. This is also a super good time to make sure that any equipment that you're going to be using is charged, or that you have backup batteries for. There's nothing more annoying than setting things up, getting ready to go, or being in the middle of photographing your work only to have the battery just poop out on you. And then you have to take a really long break or be done for the day, whatever. It's annoying. So make sure everything's charged and ready to go when it comes to your equipment, tools, and so on. Okay, so you've made your plan, you know what you're looking to achieve, you got all your products, you got all your equipment, everything is ready to go. Now is the time to actually take product photos. This is a time where you're gonna actually be shooting, you're gonna be swapping out your products and breezing through everything, probably quicker than you ever have before. So before you start doing this, I encourage you to apply this tip, and it is a tip that has nothing to actually do with photography or anything, but I think is the most important tip that you can do for yourself in this whole process. Now, if you're somebody who really doesn't like taking product photos for your craft business and it just feels like a chore, put on your favorite music, put on your favorite playlist, or put your favorite song on repeat and have it playing as you're shooting your product photos. I do this pretty much every time I take product photos because it just puts me in a really good state of mind. And I, select whatever I want to listen to, whatever I'm in the mood, or maybe if I'm like in a weird mood that day, I try and find something that I know is guaranteed to just kind of get me out of that funk and just kind of help me stay motivated and stay focused and make the process of taking photos a lot more enjoyable. So try that out and let me know in the comments below what your favorite song is to listen to on repeat or your favorite playlist, because I would love to, hear what you're listening to as you're photographing your products. Okay, so as you are in the process of actually photographing your work, make sure that everything is accessible and ready to go. This means have everything within arm reach. It's already laid out on your table or the floor or wherever, so that it's easy to grab and you can kind of keep track of where everything is, so that you're not, stumbling around trying to find things, or you have to go to a different room to get stuff. Because again, every little thing that you have to go and do that isn't already ready for you is going to eat up time. So make sure everything is accessible and ready to go for you. So next, put your camera or your smartphone on a tripod. If you don't have a tripod, then I don't know what you're waiting for. You really need to get a tripod. If you have a tripod and you've never used it, take it out of the closet, go grab it from the garage or wherever and set your tripod up. I can't tell you how helpful it is to have one, because it helps stabilize your camera so you're not getting a bunch of blurry photos. Your photos are not as lopsided. Your hands are totally free, so you can make adjustments to your product as you're photographing it. It makes it just so much easier to frame your products before you take your photos. I mean, a tripod is amazing. So make sure that you have a tripod when you're photographing your products. Go buy one, maybe go thrift one, go borrow one. Whatever you can do to get one, make sure you have it handy as you're photographing your products. Okay, I know some of you may not like this tip, and you're more than welcome to take it or leave it, just like any tips that I'm sharing in this video. But if you're using multiple backgrounds for your product photos, stick to one background. To me, this is the most easiest thing you can do when it comes to your backgrounds, because when you keep switching your backgrounds out, you have to keep adjusting the setup, you have to keep taking it down, putting it up, putting your product there. And that just adds up with time. So if you simplify and just stick to one background, then it'll make photographing your work so much easier. You'll be able to breeze through the process and one less thing to have to adjust. The other thing is it also helps make your product photos look much more cohesive and makes for a better shopping experience for your customers, because when all the backgrounds are consistent and everything just sort of looks really nice, it makes it easier to sift through your product photos and go through your listings, because everything's really uniform. So yeah, stick to one background and see how that helps cut down your whole photography process. Okay, so now that you got your amazing product photos taken, it's time to do some final touches with some editing. Now, if you're somebody who finds editing super time consuming, you need to make sure you write down some of these tips, because it'll definitely help you cut down on this entire process. And if you're somebody who's new to editing, or maybe you don't edit your photos, you need to really make sure that you do some editing, because every single photo, no matter how good they look on your camera or on your phone, needs a little bit of editing. And this will really help your product photos pop and really look amazing to customers. So make sure you write some of these tips down. So first off, download only your best shots. So many of us just automatically download all the hundreds of photos that we took, when in reality, you're probably not going to use, I don't know, maybe 75–80% of those photos, because only a small fraction of the photos you take are actually going to come out really good. And this goes for professionals and everybody who takes photos. The amount of photos that we get that are really good is pretty small in comparison to the amount of photos that we take. So do yourself a favor and spend a few minutes and preview your photos before you go and download the photos onto your computer or your cloud storage. This will save you a lot of time when it comes to sorting through which photos you're going to edit, and also just, save you potentially money on having to increase your storage or buy a new hard drive. Another great way to really speed up the whole editing process is with batch editing. Whatever photo editing software you're using, poke around and see if there's a batch editing option. This might not be an option for free trials or the free versions of software you might be using, so you might have to pay to actually have this option. But if you really like your editing software, it might be worth paying just to batch edit, because this gives you the option to resize a bunch of your photos, adjust the levels, the white balance, and so on in a matter of seconds, instead of having to do it individually for each photo. So check and see if your software has this, and if not, I encourage you to look around and see what software does so that you are able to utilize this option. Lastly, I really encourage you to organize your photos. I need to do personally a better job at doing this, but I want to communicate this to you because if you're like me, you probably spend way too much time trying to find the photos that you need for whatever purpose that you're using them for. Being able to organize your photos will just make your life so much easier. So I recommend creating a folder for each of your products and then dumping all the photos that are associated with that product into that folder. This will make it so much easier, so you can go and click on the folder of the product that you're needing photos for, and all the images are already there. Another thing I would strongly recommend you do, again, this is something I need to do, is make sure that you're giving your files a really good descriptive wording or title or whatever description. This will make it a lot easier for you to search for files on your computer, or maybe in your Google Photos account, wherever it is that you store your images, because when you don't give them a good descriptive file name, it makes it harder to find what you need. And next thing you know, you're just clicking on tons and tons of photos trying to find the image that you want. So I encourage you to do that to make your life a lot easier, and so you're not wasting tons of time searching for your photos. So by implementing these time-saving tips into your whole product photography process, you'll be able to create more time to work on other areas of your business and actually have higher quality product photos that are more likely to attract customers to your business and make it easier to sell your work online. So now I want to hear from you. I want to know, do you have any great time-saving hacks that you use to make photographing your products a lot easier or faster? If not, what tip are you looking forward to implementing the next time you go and photograph your products? Comment below and let me know. And make sure to subscribe if you want more tips like this. And be sure to follow me on social media, on Instagram, which I will leave a graphic up here, and on Facebook. And I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Bye.